Okay, you guys, so it's time for that delicious, sticky, amazing, moist ginger cake. And you know what? It's Scooter's favorite, and I'm so glad I chose this because when he comes back, he's going to be very mad at me. So, please do try this. It's amazing, and it's super, super, super easy. There's hardly anything to it. So I'm just going to run through the list of ingredients and what you need. First of all, you need your bundt pan, or you can use a loaf pan, a 2-pound loaf pan. Then you need for a spatula and a whisk, a sieve, and then you need your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients. Your dry ingredients are 225 grams of plain flour going into the sieve. In with that, we're going to put 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. Not baking powder, bicarb of soda, or baking soda. All of that can go into the sieve, and we can give that a good sieve. Then we're going to melt together in the microwave. We're going to put 125 grams of butter, okay? And we've got 250 grams of golden syrup. Okay, so we're going to put the butter in with the golden syrup, and we're just going to melt that in the microwave. So far, that's really easy. Then we need our light golden brown sugar, which is 50 grams. And then I've also put 75 grams of chopped crystallized ginger. And what I'm going to do with that is, because it's quite sticky, I'm going to put that in with the flour when it's been sieved so that the flour can coat this so that it doesn't all stick together in one piece in the cake or it doesn't sink to the bottom. So whenever you're using fruit or anything like that in a cake, it's always a good idea to do that. Cherries especially, because otherwise they'll just sink right to the bottom and that wouldn't be good. So we've sieved our flour, our ginger, our cinnamon and our bicarb, and that's all in the bowl. And now we're going to throw in our ginger. Okay, and then we're just going to give that a stir and make sure that that ginger is nicely coated. Then the next thing you need to do is you need to preheat your oven to 150 degrees Celsius, fan, or 300 Fahrenheit, or gas mark 2. Oops, and I'm throwing flour all over me. Okay, so that's all in, and now I'm going to add the sugar. Okay, that's gone in. Give that a mix together also. And then we're just going to go now and melt our butter and our golden syrup in the microwave. And we'll add that, and we'll let that cool slightly, and then we're going to add 1 large egg. The recipe calls for 1 large egg, but I'm going to use 1 large duck egg. Look at that. My friend gave me 6 beautiful duck eggs. And if you use duck eggs in cakes, they are so light and rich and moist. It's unbelievable. But I know not everybody can get their hands on duck eggs. So I'm going to use 1 large duck egg in the recipe. So I'll go ahead and melt the butter and the golden syrup now, and we'll come back and we'll pop it in here. I'll let you know how long it took to melt. My film director today is a lovely lady called Nippo from Japan. And she has just film directed me, Chris, so well because she's just said, okay, 1, 2, 3, which is what a film director should do, Chris, when he's directing a film, or she is directing a film. I feel really bad because I'm always giving out about Chris when he's filming me. But anyway, so the butter and the golden syrup have had 3.5 minutes in the microwave and it's nice and warm. So we're just going to add that into our dry ingredients and we're literally just going to incorporate it in. Okay, and that's gone in. Oh dear, isn't it so peaceful without Scooter around barking and giving out and moaning about how long a cake is? So now what we're going to do, we've added our butter and our melted golden syrup. We're going to add our 1 egg. So I'm just going to crack it into a bowl first just to make sure it's all good and nothing untoward in that egg and no shell. And there we go. I've managed to get a little piece of shell in there, so we'll scoop that out. In there. Okay, and our 1 egg is going in and we'll just give that a light beat. Or should I say a light whisk? So I hear you asking me what is the difference between a duck egg and a hen egg. Apart from the fact that I'm not a duck and I'm not a hen and I don't know the difference, I can tell you that it's got a stronger flavour. People who eat them boiled or fried would tell you it's a stronger flavour. It's not something I like to eat as in an egg. I like to use it in baking, yes, because I told you what it does for the cakes, but I'm not a fan of it as a boiled egg or a fried egg. Because it's got quite a strong poultry flavour. So my bun pan is ready and I've literally just sprayed it with baking spray, or you can use a little bit of vegetable oil with some flour and just spread it round. And that's going to go into my bundt pan. My oven is preheating, so this is ready now to pop straight into the oven, and it will take approximately 50 minutes to an hour. We will check it after 50. I find with recipes that I'm using this bundt pan with the hole in the middle, I find the lower estimated cooking guide is the one I go with, because when I'm using a loaf pan, because it's quite dense and the middle is quite dense, I feel it does take the full cooking time. But I feel with the bundt pan, because the middle is practically not in the cake, it kind of cooks a little bit more evenly around the outside, and so it tends to do in the lower estimated time. So that's ready now, and that's ready to go into the oven. I'll pop that in and then I'll come back and I'll show you, we'll make the icing, the lovely sticky glaze for the top, but that can't go on the cake until it's completely cold. And I really can't wait for this to cool down, because I'm dying for some with a nice cup of tea. And I'm sure Nipo is as well, because she just said ginger cake is her favourite too. So we struck gold, didn't we, Nipo? Yeah. Okay, so now for that lovely, sticky, gooey icing. So in this bowl, I've got 150 grams of sieved icing sugar or confectioner's sugar. I've also got 50 grams of the chopped crystallised stem ginger, and I added that to the icing sugar, so the icing sugar coated the ginger. And then I also added 1 tablespoon of the ginger syrup. But if you don't have ginger syrup, you can use 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. I also added a little bit of milk because I felt the mixture was a little bit too tight and I wanted it to be of this sort of dropping consistency. So it will slightly thicken up as well as we leave it for the cake to cool. So that is our delicious sticky ginger icing. And I really, really, really love the smell of it. So just have a wee try. Amazing. And what makes it not too sweet is the fact that it's got the ginger in there as well, so it gives it that little bit of heat. So that's the icing. We'll take the cake out, we'll let it cool completely, and then we'll come back and we'll put the icing on the top. Okay, so the cake is cool, it's out of the oven, and I'm ready to drizzle the lovely icing. He is back. I didn't have the cake ready for when he came back. However, I asked Peggy if she would stay to have tea in the fine bone china in the garden with me and Scooter, and she refused. And I'll tell you why. That boy is going to suffer, because I will choke him if I can get my hands on him. He's outside, it's all picture, no sound. He hasn't spoken to me at all since he's got back. He's in the worst of humour, so it's a very good job that I've got this cake for him. So I had a word with Peggy and I said, how was your day? How did it go? What happened? So wait till you hear what he said to her. He was very mad at her for bringing him to the doggy gym. And he told her that had he have known he was going to the doggy gym, he knows a vet somewhere nearby who would have given him steroids a few weeks ago so that he could have pumped himself up to look good in front of all the other ladies. What a thing to say to somebody he's trying to marry. What is wrong with that dog, honestly? Anyway, so me and him are going to have a serious chat. I'm going to let him have cake. We're going to enjoy the cake with a nice cup of tea. We don't need to bother getting the fine bone china out because she's refused to stay. Do you know why she refused to stay? She said she doesn't want to go on camera because in case it doesn't work out with Scooter, she doesn't want to ruin her reputation. Is she for real? I'm going to have to swallow a lot of honey for this girl if she's going to enter our lives, because otherwise it might not be quite sweet, the things I say afterwards. Anyway, let's get on with icing this cake. Okay, so our lovely sticky ginger icing is ready to go on top of the cooled cake. He's just come and sat right in front of me and he's glaring at me. And I know what he's thinking. He's thinking, when is this cake going to be finished so I can have some of this cake? I've worked it all off in that gym. So he's not speaking, but we'll get there. So just pile on your lovely sticky ginger icing. Try not to get it all over the floor as I've done. There he's going to lick it now. So we're just going to spread that out now and let it run down the sides. And I have to tell you folks, if you could only smell it, it really, really smells amazing. Okay, we have a little bit more icing, so we may use it all up. Why not? Let's not waste any of it. Okay, now time to redeem ourselves, and let's cut the cake. And let's give this piece too. Look at that, folks. How delicious does that look? Let's give that to the little man. Because actually, I think we're going to be in a lot of trouble today. Okay, you guys, so now, everybody's favorite is apple crumble. However you like it, custard, sauce anglaise, ice cream, or like me, just a dollop of freshly whipped cream. This luxury apple crumble, and I call it luxury because there's a few extra ingredients that I like to put into this one. It's so simple, a 5-year-old can do it. So come on guys, get your dinner party going with the most amazing apple crumble for the summer coming. I know people associate it with a winter pudding because of the custard, but it's not. Summer, all year round, every day of the week. And let's face it, we live in the west coast of Ireland, it's winter every day of the week. But we won't let that stop us. So what you'll need for this is, you need a Pyrex dish. I'm using a nice, shallow, big Pyrex dish because we're going to get about 10 to 12, 15 portions, depending on how big or small you like your portion of apple crumble. So this is probably about 4 portions in my house, but 8 portions, 10 portions in another house. And then we have 6 Bramley apples. Now these apples come from Armagh, which is technically Northern Ireland, but we call them Irish apples. And simply what you need to do is you need to try. If your apples are semi-sweet, they have to have a little bit of sharpness to them. If they're very sharp, you can increase the sugar a little bit. But actually these taste nice. They're not sweet and they're not very sour. Okay, so your 6 apples, you want to core them, peel them, slice them very thinly. Okay, so nice thin slices, and put some cold water on them while you get the rest of your ingredients together. Leave the tap running, I do, and then that stops them from going brown. Into your Pyrex dish, as a little extra treat, I just get 2 slices of butter and just rub it in to your Pyrex dish, and that will just literally help to give your apples a nice caramelization with some sugar, and also help so that it doesn't stick. So clean hands as always, and then just smother your tray in that nice rich Irish butter, leaving none on your fingers. Okay, so that's ready. The rest of your ingredients are, you want 85 grams of caster sugar or normal sugar. You want 100 grams of soft brown sugar. Again, if you don't have brown sugar, you can use normal sugar. You want 50 grams of honey, 250 grams of butter, Kerrygold, 300 grams of plain flour, 300 grams of porridge oats, which if you don't want to use the porridge oats, you can just substitute by putting another 300 grams of flour, but the porridge oats add a really nice crunchiness to the crumble. And let's face it, nobody likes soggy crumble. It has to be crunchy. I also add 100 grams of desiccated coconut. That is completely optional. If you don't like coconut, don't add coconut. But I love coconut, and it just gives that very little hint of coconut in the crumble. And then finally, I have 100 grams of flaked almonds, which I have coated with 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. So there's no rubbing in to fine breadcrumbs, any of that for this crumble. We're literally going to line our tray with our apples, and we're going to use the same bowl to melt our butter, our honey, and our sugar together. And then we're going to add our flour and our porridge oats, mix them all in, and we're going to spread it all over the top. Okay, you can add sultanas if you like sultanas or raisins to this as well, but I'm not going to today. So I'm going to start by lining my Pyrex with my apples and literally you're just going to spread them out along the bottom. Okay, and because you've cut these quite thinly, they're going to cook. This will take about 45 to 50 minutes in the oven to cook. Okay, so we're going to sprinkle over the top of our apples our 85 grams of caster sugar. And that's going straight on top of the apples, and that will help to sweeten up the apples. It will also help to soften the apples and make a nice juice so our crumble doesn't dry out. Okay, that's that part done. You can leave that over to the side whilst you get on with the rest. So the rest is your butter in your bowl, very simple. Your brown sugar in your bowl, very simple. Or if you don't have brown sugar, your normal sugar. Your honey in your bowl. And you want to melt all that together in the microwave. It's as simple as that. There's no rubbing in, none of that lark. So 3 minutes in the microwave, and it's all melted. The butter, the honey, and the brown sugar has all melted, which is really nice. And then we're going to start adding in our dry ingredients. So first of all, we'll put in our porridge oats. Okay, and just stir to combine. Okay, once we've incorporated the porridge oats, we'll then add in our flour, our coconut, and then we'll put in maybe half the flour first, because otherwise you might get the flour all over the kitchen. Do it in 3 stages. I kid you not, my friends, this is the best apple crumble you'll ever taste. And it is worth going that little bit further to make it more of a luxury crumble. You can pare it right back and just use butter, flour, and sugar to make your crumble topping, but I do feel that this is really giving it another level. Okay, that's our flour incorporated. And then we're going to add our coconut and finally our flaked almonds and cinnamon. And if you don't like flaked almonds, you can substitute with another crunchy nut, or you can omit it completely. And our coconut goes in. I've been known to make this with some chocolate chips as well. If we're having kids for dinner, we can put some chocolate chips in there also. But this is really nice. Okay, and then our flaked almonds and cinnamon. Now, once that's all more or less incorporated, you can see how nice that looks. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get in there with our hands. We're going to bring back our tray, and we're going to pick up some of our crumble, and we're going to start just crumbling it over the top. And this is going to go into a preheated oven of 180 conventional, 160 fan, or gas mark 4. And it's going to go in for about 45 to 50 minutes. Okay, so we've literally... Now, I know what you're saying, because Chris says it to me all the time. Why do you have to always cook so much? We will eat this, all of it. Yeah, if you don't want to cook such a big one, if you're not having lots of people around and you're just having yourself and your partner or whatever, then you can literally half the recipe and just make a smaller one. Yeah, it's entirely up to you. But remember, once this is cooked, it will stay good for about a week covered in cling film. So you can have, you know, a few days of it if you like. Anyway, Nikolai doesn't do anything by half. We always do it full on. When he makes Christmas pudding, he makes 2. When he makes Christmas cake, he makes 2. Okay. So you can see now that looks absolutely divine. And if only you could smell it. The cinnamon and the butter and the honey, it really does smell very, very good. And so you don't want to compact it down, just leave it nice and loose like that, and it will all really crisp up in the oven. So that will go in now to the oven, and we'll check back in 45 minutes and see how we're getting on. Okay, so the timer has gone off. The apple crumble has been in the oven for 50 minutes. Scooty has been sitting waiting patiently for some. But Scooter has requested he wants ice cream with his. Chris would like custard and I want fresh cream. So, let's get it out of the oven. Okay. Careful because it's hot. Okay. And there we have our delicious, crunchy, beautiful smelling apple crumble, and it's really crunchy, which is lovely, but it's hot. So we'll let that cool down a little bit, and then we will treat ourselves to a nice slice of apple crumble. Just look at that delicious, gooey apple crumble. And now for a little taste test before I cream, while it's still warm. I hope I'm still. That, my friends, is and that little bit of coconut makes all the difference. Sorry, I'm only supposed to have one spoonful. Okay, you guys, it's time for that delicious deconstructed banoffee pie. My guests are coming in about 2 hours and I have to get showered and changed and everything. So I'm just in from the garden. I've washed up the hands, I've scrubbed up well, and I'm going to quickly put this dessert together. It literally will take 5 minutes. So what we have in a bowl here is we have some double cream, which we're going to whip. We have a banana, and we have a packet of Biscoff biscuits. We have 6 Cadbury's buttons, or you could use grated chocolate or a flake or anything of your choice, or you don't have to put anything. You can just put a mint leaf on the top, and a tin of Nestle Carnation already caramelized caramel. So remember, this is super quick and easy because my guests have surprised me that they're coming. 6 beautiful cocktail glasses I've got here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my biscuit base prepared. And literally all you have to do with that is you need to pop your biscuits into a food bag. Okay, and we're going to do this by eye. There's no exact measurements, but I think probably 3 biscuits per person. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and you can use digestive biscuits, you can use plain rich tea biscuits, whatever biscuits you have in the store cupboard, because remember, this was a store cupboard gift to us because we didn't know that these people were arriving, so we didn't get to go and do any shopping. Beat the living daylights out of them. Think of somebody you really don't like. Maybe somebody in the office. Maybe your husband. Maybe your children. Whoever it may be. And you want to mash them up into a crumb. You don't want them to be completely fine. You still like to have that little bit of textured crunch in there. So just make sure there's no big broken bits. Okay, very simply what you're going to do is you're going to spoon that into your glasses. So I'm going to use my spoon here and I'm going to spoon it into my glasses. Okay, and I think that should be enough to give a nice textured crumb at the bottom. Okay, so that's the biscuit done. And then you literally just want to press it down slightly into the base of the glass. You don't need to add butter or anything because remember these biscuits will have plenty of butter in them or whatever biscuit you choose to use. So you literally just want to create that nice biscuit base. And there is some biscuit left over and we'll use that for putting throughout a couple of layers. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to whip our cream. Okay. Okay, so our cream is whipped. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set that aside and we're going to put a spoonful of our caramel on top of each of our biscuit bases. You just want to drop a teaspoon of caramel on there. Okay, this is not for the faint-hearted, this dessert, but I'll tell you the story behind this dessert. I went to Ardra in Donegal to visit the Glenveigh National Park, and I stayed in a little bed and breakfast with a lovely lady in a little cottage, a tiny little cottage in Ardra, where she told me that for COVID, whilst she was allowed to open quickly and close, she had to do something to generate money. So she did what she called a pop-up restaurant in the little cottage. And her kitchen, I swear to you, was 2 meters by 2 meters maximum. And she could create anything, a full Irish breakfast, everything from that little tiny kitchen. So I was in awe of her. But she was telling me about this little pop-up restaurant, so I was intrigued. And I started saying to her, what sort of things did you serve? And one of the things she told me she served, because she could prepare it in advance, so the dessert was done and out of the way. It didn't need fridge space, and she could get it all done and ready for her guests, was the deconstructed banoffee pie. And I thought, what a clever, clever idea. And absolutely tastes exactly the same as banoffee pie, but without the stress of having to prepare it hours in advance. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to pop, I think 2 pieces of banana in each glass will be enough to tantalize their taste buds. Okay, and I've cut the banana slightly on an angle so you get more coverage from the banana. And no, if you don't like banana, you can't leave banana out of this dessert, so therefore don't make this dessert, make something else. Okay, and Scooter can have the little bit of banana that's left because he too loves banana. So the next thing we'll do is we'll get another little bit of our crumb and we'll sprinkle it over so you get different textures as you bite through. Just a little bit of crumb. Okay, and we're just going to layer this up. Now, folks, please tell me that you are enjoying this so easy, because that's exactly what it is. And now what we will do is we will put some cream. And although this is really rich, you can see the size of the glass. So actually, you're not going to overindulge because it's not a huge amount going into each glass. But what is going in is lovely and rich and well worth it. And look at that, I whipped just the right amount of cream. Again, there's no science behind it. You just use your eye, and if you've got cream left over, you can use it for something else. We will have caramel left over, so we will use it for something else. That's not a problem. Okay, that's them done. A little bit more crumb. Sprinkled over the top. Chris, are you excited to try one of these?
Oh yeah.
Scooter, are you excited to try one of these? Bark, Scooter, let us know. He's sleeping. And then finally, to top off, just a lovely little button, or, like I said, a sprig of mint, whatever you fancy, or some grated chocolate. Ta-da! And there, folks, we have it. We have the delectable, deconstructed banoffee pie in a beautiful cocktail glass, which you can manage to get ready in minutes. And your guests will be wowed by the texture and the flavor of what's in that glass. They will think it took you hours. And it took you less than 5 minutes. Okay, it's the cook's prerogative. I must try before I buy. Chris, I don't even want to talk. Here, Chris. We can't afford to have another one before the guests come, because we've got 4 guests and we've only got 5 left. And if one drops accidentally, we're done for. So here, come and try this. Okay, you guys, so today I'm going to be making for you this very, very, very simple, amazing baked cheesecake inspired by my most recent trip to Turkey, where people actually queue up outside of a restaurant in Turkey called Viyane Kaveshi, which is renowned for this cheesecake. They claim it to be Turkish, but actually I've since done research and found out that it originated in Spain, but the Turks have made claim to it, and so it's a San Sebastian baked cheesecake. It is so easy that when I got back from Turkey, I thought this was divine. I queued up for 1 hour and 56 minutes to sample this cheesecake, and they served it with warm chocolate sauce. Well, I kid you not, it was heaven on a plate. So I'm going to share with you the recipe, and it's so easy. I hope you're going to make it with me. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through the ingredients. So in my bowl, I have 600 grams of cream cheese, Philadelphia cream cheese. I also have 240 grams of normal sugar or granulated sugar, whatever you prefer, whatever you've got. I have 40 grams of corn flour or cornstarch. I have 4 free-range eggs. I have 200 mils of double cream, some vanilla extract, and I also have 100 grams of natural Greek yogurt, and we're going to be using a tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice and a teaspoon of salt. So all we need for this is our whisk, we need our bowl with our spatula, we need an 8-inch cake tin and a sheet of greaseproof paper which I've soaked under the cold running water, and we're going to just literally stuff that inside our tin like that. You do not worry about it being all crumpled. That is exactly what we're looking for. So the design of this cheesecake is very rustic, very burnt looking on top, cracked, all the things you wouldn't expect from an American baked cheesecake. Sorry, American friends, this is a Turkish cheesecake, and we're going to stick with that. Okay, so the tips for this cheesecake are your crumpled up greaseproof paper inside your tin, a very hot oven, so 400 Fahrenheit, 200 Celsius, or gas mark 6. You need it to be hot. If after 40 to 50 minutes this cheesecake doesn't have that dark brown color on top, you can then place it under a very hot grill for a couple of minutes and just keep a very close eye on it. You don't want to leave it extra in the oven because you'll overbake it. Your cheesecake is better to be slightly underbaked with a wobbly center that sets in the fridge overnight, as opposed to being dry because it's been left too long in the oven. So 40 to 50 minutes maximum. The edges will be set, but inside, in the middle, it'll be a little bit wobbly, a little bit like all of us, a little bit wobbly. So you don't worry about that because it will set firm then in the fridge overnight. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to cream our cheese and our sugar. So all of that in there, and we'll get creaming. Then we're going to add to that our corn flour or cornstarch and our teaspoon of salt. Okay, and we're going to beat that together until it's nice and white dust everywhere. Lovely. I'm not wearing my apron today purposely because I've got a beautiful Ireland t-shirt on with a Celtic design for you guys. My first time to wear it. Okay, so the next thing we need to add is our vanilla essence. So we need 1 tablespoon of vanilla essence, or vanilla extract, should I say, sorry. Okay, so 1 tablespoon of vanilla, and also our tablespoon of lemon juice. Freshly squeezed lemon juice, which I've squeezed. And that just adds a little bit of flavor to our cheesecake. And then you beat that. Can you see how easy this is? Please, guys, make this cheesecake. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Okay, once we've brought it to that stage and mixed everything together, the next thing we're going to add is our Greek yogurt. All in. Then our half of our cream. Mix it all together. And then the other half of our cream. The last thing to go in is the egg. Okay, so we'll scrape down the sides of our bowl. And the last thing that will go in will be our eggs. Okay, so all is mixed and all that delicious gorgeousness is going straight in on top of your greaseproof paper. Making sure you get all the lovely mix out of the bowl. You can leave a little bit for Chris, who's doing the washing up, as usual. Now, the last and final stage, just to get rid of any air bubbles, which is the fun bit. If there's somebody you don't like, you can think about them now. And you're just going to tap your tin nice and sharply down on your table like that. Okay, and that will release any air bubbles. This is going into a hot oven for between 40 and 50 minutes. We'll check it after 40 minutes, and we want that lovely brown topping on it. And I cannot wait. This is going to be served later with a delicious cup of Greek tea. I'll explain to you about the Greek tea later. Okay, you guys? So we've done 50 minutes in the oven, and this is exactly the look you're looking for. That lovely brown top, the little sunken in the middle, coming away from the edges. And can you see that wobbly center? That's exactly what you're looking for. Now that needs to be left in the tin for about an hour, and then we'll pop it into the fridge overnight. And then we'll peel off our greaseproof paper, and we should have our lovely San Sebastian cheesecake, warm chocolate sauce. Delicious. Okay, you guys, so the San Sebastian cheesecake has been in the fridge overnight. I have left it out to get it back to room temperature because I'm not sure if I'd like it really cold. So I've left it out for a couple of hours to get it back to room temperature, and I'm going to serve it with a delicious hot chocolate sauce. And all that is a bar of chocolate melted in the microwave with a little dash of milk just to thin it down a little bit. And I have to say, the cheesecake is exactly how it looked in Turkey. It's rustic, it's gnarly around the edges, and we're just going to have a look now when we cut into it here, and we're going to see exactly how it looks in the center. And I'm hoping that it's going to look lovely and delicious and creamy and thick. Oh my, it really does. And there we have it. And so we're going to pop that onto our plate, and we're going to enjoy that with some hot chocolate sauce and a lovely cup of Greek tea. So we have our Turkish cheesecake with our Greek tea. And our Greek tea is our tea leaves, some cinnamon sticks, and some cloves. And that's a delicious cup of Greek tea. So let's pour the chocolate sauce. Oh, Chris, how does that look? Okay, it looks really, really good. Chris has just said it's the best cheesecake he's ever tasted. So, now, folks, I have to agree. I've never made this cheesecake either. So, for a first attempt, it really isn't bad. It's actually really, really good. And I hope the warm chocolate sauce just really gives it that lovely richness and silkiness. I don't think this cheesecake is going to hang around for too long. Bon appetit!